This is Autogefuehl with Thomas and the new Mercedes GLS, the all-new generation. Exterior and interior with two different cars here today from the New York Auto Show. Different color and also different interior trims, very exciting. What does this new GLS have to offer? What is it different to the GLE that was already existing? Both are, by the way, built in the US, and we'll dig deeper into the details right now. Let's go. The front somewhat keeps the old styling of the predecessor model, especially with those horizontal fins right there, but it looks even a little bit stronger and higher, more upright. And it features now from standard the LED multi-beam, so the top headlamps they have at the moment also come indeed as standard, so there's nothing below it. But it's also one of the most expensive vehicles, so I think we can also expect some more extra features as well, that one. Also take a look at the other color we've shown you also in the intro. Which one do you like best from those? Of course, there will also be a little bit more screaming out colors available, but mostly this car will be sold in colors like those. Not too easy to get a clear shot here on the motor show. 5 meters 20 or 205 inches is the length. That's about 8 centimeters longer than the predecessor, or 3 inches longer than the predecessor, or 28 centimeters longer than the GLE, or 11 inches longer than the GLE. So indeed substantially longer than the GLE sibling. And those ones here are 23-inch wheels. That's crazy, right? So I'm not sure where this is going to stop at some point. I think the silver paint here is beautiful as long as it's clean. Here also you can see the wheel arches are painted in the vehicle color. You can go for that one or also then for a black crossover look. Then the side step, this one here is also possible. You know, for getting inside it might be helpful. It also looks somewhat fancy. But then for other situations, it's maybe, you know, blocking or also catching dirt. It's again a matter of preference. Here the frames are in black right there. You see a really upright design right here. But then here, this rear here is forming some shoulders, a little bit inclining. And this is totally okay from side profile. From rear, you will soon see it looks a little bit strange. So what do you think so far about the new design? Just to give you another perspective how large this wheel is actually. And when I'm sitting so close to the suspension, let's talk about it, because it comes standard with an air suspension, of course on both axles, and optional you get this e-active body control. We've shown that in the Mercedes GLE driving review. You should check that out because that one is interesting. It's basically something that comes on top of the air suspension, and then you can lean inside the corners. That's very interesting too. You reduce the G-forces, and a little bit like a motorcycle, you know. So reducing G-force for the inside passengers. It feels a little bit weird, but also somehow cool. And it will also work for off-road use because it can basically, you know, go up and down, a little bit lowrider style, yo, and then get you out of a sand, for example. So interesting, and we also had a demonstration for that in the GLE review. Do you guys see what I mean with the design here? It's the same with the BMW X7. So the upper part here of the rear body is a little bit slimmer than the lower part, and that looks a little bit weird to me. Or am I the only one? Please your take on that in the comments. However, here in the lower area, due to the more horizontally drawn tail lamps and this new design LED, it looks more modern than the predecessor in this case. Those ones here are just beauty tips, real exhaust on the inside. And I already want to mention one of the funny new features, and that is the car wash function. So this car will come optional with the car wash function, that when you activate it, it will basically set up the car for a car wash. That means, for example, fold in the mirrors, deactivate the rain sensors for the wipers that they don't start when being in the car wash, close all windows, close the panoramic roof. You know, when with the open panoramic roof in this car wash, that could be funny. So it's a very interesting function, and then the car can be gone into the car wash, and when it actually goes out again, it resets everything and goes back to the normal position. So that's very interesting. So, you know, the mirrors fold out again. So interesting function that gives you some more luxury and of course some more safety also for keeping dry inside the car wash. Wow, that's a heavy hood. Good that we have strong hydraulic dampers to put it all up. And then there is even some carbon fiber right here to stiffen this whole area. So, and then you have different choices right here. So this is the GLS 580 4-liter V8 with 488 horsepower. But you also get the GLS 450 3-liter inline 6 with 367 horsepower. And all the petrol engines right here, they will be mild hybrid, so getting with 48-volt board net, of course, all for the electronic functions also, and then also this sailing function will be increased, that you can get some more fuel efficiency. Will this work? We will find out for you when we drive this car very soon. And if we think out of the American box here on the New York Auto Show, for Europe, especially also for Germany, there will still be the diesels, either the 350D, that will then 3-liter inline 6-cylinder with 286 horsepower, or a 400D, the same base engine, but just with a little bit more horsepower than 330 horsepower. Let's get inside. First of all, door closing sound. That's pretty solid, like that. Then article leatherette cover right here at the inside of the doors, also here. Then there's a matte wood inlet, different styles available. Together with the Burmester sound system, here in the bigger models, it delivers a very good sound quality. Also big door pockets right there. Then we see a styling that we have already seen with the new Mercedes GLE. The GLE and the GLS, same, well, you know, same base card, so to say. The GLS then with the longer version of the GLA, you can take it that way. Beautiful with the steering wheel that also features a wood. We haven't seen for a long time now with the manufacturer. It's somehow classic, but somehow also classic in a way, you know, to be classic elegant. I really like that, and why not putting it? However, they do not find any future solutions for the seat surfaces here. Mercedes is usually leading among with Tesla to offer non-animal skin seat surfaces, but here they are all animal skin. I think it's a mix, like outside would be article leatherette, inside, but this one then is animal origin. Only available here for the GLS. There's no alternative. That's of course lacking of future-proof sustainability. Then at the steering wheel, we also set the Distronic cruise control on the left side and the volume on the right side. And you can see more of this wooden inlets right here. And they also have this matte finish. I like it. You can hear that even. And now let's get inside, and I just have to praise again this wooden steering wheel. I know it's somehow old school, and you know, with some car features I'm a little bit old school too. With some I like, you know, modern stuff like the voice activation. That's pretty cool. Reminds me of a Jaguar XJ, who also had this wood in it, and here I think it's even more special because it also has a matte surface here and not this glossy wood surface, because when it's glossy it's no wood anyway, so it's not as matte as the inlets right there, but also not totally shiny, so pretty cool thing. Then the seating position, that is quite the same as in the GLE in the front, upright, command position. However, both GLE and GLS have a big cockpit right here, so you have this very high hood, so you cannot see that well to the front, at least when you have the seat in a lower position, and I usually have that because, you know, I still have some headroom left here with 1.86 m or 6'1". However, this still has the panoramic roof that always is costing you some of the headroom. But still, very comfortable seating position, good for a long-term drive. But recently now also the BMW Group got some competition in the race with the X7, now also one of the main competitors from the GLS. So far the GLS was, quite lone in that field. The seat will control at the inside of the doors, therefore you have nothing right here. It's pretty handy when you're sitting inside and then you actually know what to do. And for example, I've already lengthened the lower seating surface here. So, a lot of money for this vehicle, but at least we have a lot of standard features. So this dual screen setup, 2x 12.3 inch, comes as standard equipment. Article leatherette cover here right there, also with soft touch. Then those vents are carried over from the GLE as well. And I love this matte wood styling right here. That's beautiful, and also doesn't leave any fingerprints, for example, another advantage. You have a clicking, a nice clicking sound here for the temperature, like this. And so you can also easily access it while driving. Left side instruments can be controlled with the left thumb, for example. Right side screen can be controlled with the right thumb if the car is properly ignited. You can also use this touchscreen like this, and it's really large and very well to see. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto connection is also available right there. And you can also use this lower touchpad, so that's you can have some different themes here even for this infotainment screen, like this, or just jump back. So different redundant ways to control it, and also with the voice input, like, "Hey Mercedes, drive me to Los Angeles."
Please select an entry.
So, oh, there. Los Angeles, California, of course. I mean, the car clearly doesn't see that I want to drive from New York to Los Angeles, so it's actually suggesting something else, Los Angeles. Then but I think that's really interesting. You can cancel. You can also set the temperature, by the way, with the voice input. It always depends also how the online connection is working. Hey Mercedes. Hey Mercedes.
How may I help you?
Set temperature to 74 degrees.
I'm sorry, I can't set the temperature at the moment.
So that's because the car is not powered at the moment, but you see that the voice actually was recognizing that I want to change the temperature. So again, the full use of this voice recognition system is first of all possible when everything is fully powered. That's the one thing, with the key and stuff. And the second thing, when the car is also properly connected to the internet. This system here is at the moment, I think, the best on the market as for voice recognition. You can see it in our driving reviews a little bit better. And the BMW system is alongside with it at the moment at its latest stage. Then, here in the middle one, matte wood cover, you slide that open, then you have two USB-C supplies and next to adaptive cup holders. And again, this pad here, also with a separate camera button. Here you can also adjust the air suspension. Comes standard with this vehicle. And the middle armrest right here, it flips open, and then you have another USB-C supply, some more room, and also adaptive cup holders here already for the second row. That will be very interesting when we explore that now. So Mercedes promises 8.7 centimeters more legroom, or 3.5 inch more legroom than in the predecessor GLS, and indeed there's a lot of legroom more. First of all, if you compare it to the GLE and also to the predecessor GLS, so that's pretty cool. Have the seats here in the most backward position. So plenty of legroom, yes. Headroom, that comes a little bit closer again due to this panoramic roof. If you leave that one out, then you would have some more headroom. But of course, still for tall adults, no problem. This is also the captain seat setup, so I have some room in the middle part here, and it's actually quite cozy to sit here and have some more room. But now comes the catch of this vehicle. This one here, same one with the GLE. It had more legroom than, for example, the BMW X5. But you might see that on camera already here. Those seats here, no matter if it's the bench or if it's the captain seat, they fall a little bit backward. And that's not good for your pelvis position. It's not so comfortable on the long-term run. I think that's a mistake, especially with the captain seats. For example, in the X7, the bench is more practical because it can fold flat. Then you have the captain seat, for example. You cannot fold them flat, but the captain seat in the X7, they are totally different and they are upright like a front seat. That's not the case here. This is rather a captain seat where just the middle seat has been cut out. And that's quite disappointing, I think. We're all talking about like a very high niveau and level of comfort, yes. But if you ask for 150k in price for such a vehicle, you always have to calculate with Thomas reviewers also picking on those things. So the seat control here is also all electric for the rear seats, but this car is not properly powered anymore, so sometimes it's working, sometimes it's not. You get the middle console here, also with a separate climate control, for example. And in the lower end, right here, you have 2 more USB-C supplies and another bigger volt supply. Well, and here in the captain seat setup, it's actually easier to get in the rear because you would not flip the seats. So you would just go, get in here, especially for children, and then you would just crouch through the middle part here. With those armrests, it's a little bit, tricky for adults, but for children, it will be a little bit easier. You can also flip the seat right here, the captain seat. Like this, that might also help when getting in the rear. This one here is at the moment at the back part position. So when it's at the position in the rear, then you see it's really hard to get for me to the third seating row here. I cannot get it really up, so that doesn't make any sense. So it needs to be a little bit more forward or a little bit more upright. So you see, I could sit there. I could push it a little bit more forward. And then, so it does work with 6 adults in this case. So again, seat will be a little bit more forward. I could still sit there. And then it's also somewhat reasonable to sit here in the rear. Headroom is actually no problem. That does work. You also have USB-C supplies on both sides for yourself, and even seat heating optional available if you like that so far. It's not the most comfortable seating here in this third seating row, but at least it does work if you want to go with 6 or 7 adults with the bench setup here. So yes, that would not be possible in GLE. The GLE will also offer that option for the 7 seats, but the same as for the X5, it does not make so much sense. If you go for the third seating row, better take the GLS or the X7, then they really make sense. They also thought about ISOFIX here on the third seating row, so you can also install child seats here. If you have the possibility, of course, always use the second seating row in case of a rear crash. It's always a little bit safer, although the car is, of course, quite stiff. But, just for more children's safety. However, sometimes you might be going with the car fully packed, and then it makes sense to have this flexibility. Now, what about the trunk? 83 cubic feet or 2,400 liters would be the maximum setup if you get all clear. But let's take it step by step. This one here, there's a small cover right there for the last part when the third seating row is up, so more storage underneath. And then there are electric flipping systems for those seating rows. And you can also lower the air suspension if you like so. Let's see if that works here, because at the moment it's unsure also how the cars are powered or not. In this case, let's see, to put in the head restraint first. So you have to think about that. That's live on tape. So now again with the third row right there. So right here you can see just the third row up, that would be about 45 centimeters. Then if you put the third row down, you would have 130 centimeters. And now it's very interesting because, as I've just shown you, in this case, those captain seats can indeed be flipped. So this is also a major difference to the X7. Yes, those captain seats in the X7 were more comfortable. But those ones here have the advantage that they can still be folded flat. So this is very interesting and a different concept. And the question is, which one is the most suitable to you? And then we still have captain seats, but can flip it all the way through. And this is already 2 meters and goes even a little bit further than 2 meters. So very interesting. It will be a little bit different also with the bench setup. We'll go over to that car very soon and show you the difference there. But question is really, which is the best concept? I think, for a rear seating concept, the captain's chair that are really different, like a normal co-driver seat, like in the X7, is better. But then you have a little bit more flexibility. You don't have to make the choice between picking the bench and the captain's seats to have the choice between folding flat or not being able to fold flat. Yeah, it's surely both pro and con. This one here is the bench that goes all the way through. Sorry, this one is at the moment in a weird position and it won't go back at this moment because the car is not properly powered. Probably the battery is drained right now because people have been trying it out all over the place. What I want to tell you is that you get, for a rear seat entertainment system right here, you can get 11.6-inch tablets right here and also another 8-inch tablet, if you like, right here to have controls of all the car functions. So that is also possible. Then, you know, some tablet that is basically mirroring what's going on also in the front. Inductive charging pad here also in the rear with some more space. And with this bench, you also need some possibility to flip the seats. And for example, there's a button right over there, and then the seat here goes forward and also up a little bit to then allow the access to the rear bench via the side. So that's actually quite easy to get inside then. However, this, let's say, manual system that was in place in the previous generation, you know, with folding down then up, somehow it was a little bit easier to me, I think, than this electric solution. But of course, they want to increase the comfort. So, I mean, it's the same here when we push the bench a little bit more forward. Then I would also have some space here and people could still sit in the front. Just want to show the variation if you would go for the middle seat or, you know, or not. Here then again, it's an option that you have this this middle console right there. So, and in this car here, you can see when the interior is black, it's really hard to see anything. And now to our conclusion for today with the all-new Mercedes GLS. Well, it's a very interesting car. The front looks even stronger than before. You see, it's really higher. New LED lighting technology, that's from the exterior. Then the technology aspect as for the suspension, not only air suspension, but also this dynamic suspension that you can actually lean inside the corner. We already portrayed it with the GLE. Very interesting and definitely the technology highlight. The interior, really updated as for the infotainment system, a good voice recognition, that's the main thing about it, and also cleaner as for the whole lineup, and a great build quality we see too. Sadly lacking any alternatives to animal skin, which is quite unusual for Mercedes. The rear, you have quite a lot of legroom. However, I don't like it that the seats fall a little bit backward. That's not offering the best comfort. The captain's seat do the very same, but then again, they can also be folded flat. That's again a pro. So, you know, depends on what you really like, what you really seek. You can all fold it flat and then you get a lot of cargo space. It will be important, and also you can drive it with 6 or 7 adults. Of course, the third seating will always be somewhat limited. I'm not quite okay with the rear styling. I think it's the same I said also with the X7, like with little, you know, inclining shape right there. I think I was a little bit more okay than with the predecessor on that one. But sometimes the cars also grow on you. Overall, I think it is suitable for the US market, especially was successful here before, but also got some new competitors now. What do you think? Also watch our driving review of the X7, and soon we will also take this one here, the new generation, out for a spin.